dumbest thing you ever did to try and impress a girl or guy? Backpacking through New Zealand at 22, I was staying at this hostel in Paihia in the Bay of Islands. Classic backpacker setup. Cramped dorm rooms, communal kitchen that smelled like instant noodles, and a constant rotation of travelers telling increasingly exaggerated stories about their adventures. I'd been there 3 days when these 4 Australian girls checked in. Emma, Sophie, Kate, and Jess. They were doing the full Kiwi experience, had matching friendship bracelets, and were the kind of effortlessly cool travelers who somehow looked good even after 18-hour bus rides. Emma in particular caught my attention. Blonde, sunburned in that attractive way that suggested outdoor adventures, and she had this laugh that made everyone within earshot want to be funnier. On Thursday night, they mentioned there was a beach party happening on Russell, this little town across the bay. The party was supposed to be legendary. Bonfire on the beach, local band playing, half the backpacker population of the North Island showing up. Emma was particularly excited about it, kept talking about how it was going to be epic. The only way to get to Russell was by ferry. $2 each way, takes about 12 minutes to cross the inlet. Reasonable price, easy transportation, perfectly sensible option. But I wasn't feeling particularly sensible. We're all walking down to the ferry terminal around sunset, and I'm trying to think of some way to stand out from the dozen other backpackers who'd inevitably be hitting on these girls all night. Emma's wearing this sundress and flip-flops, looking like she belonged in a tourism commercial, and I'm just another broke American with messy hair and questionable decision-making skills. That's when I see the water. The inlet between Paihia and Russell is maybe a kilometer across, and in the golden evening light, it looks deceptively calm and inviting. Like a nice lake you might swim across at summer camp. You know what? I announce as we reach the dock. I think I'll swim across. The girls all turn to look at me like I've suggested juggling fire. Emma raises her eyebrows. Are you serious? Yeah, totally, I say, already committed to this spectacularly stupid idea. It's not that far. I'll meet you guys on the other side. Sophie looks concerned. Mate, that's salt water. There could be currents. But Emma's grinning now, and that grin makes me double down on the dumbest decision of my gap year. That's actually kind of badass, she says. So naturally, I star IP down to my board shorts right there on the dock, hand my wallet and phone to Kate, and dive into the Bay of Islands like I'm some kind of aquatic hero rather than an id IoT tourist about to learn a valuable lesson about ocean currents. The water's shockingly cold, but I start swimming with confident strokes toward Russell, feeling pretty good about myself. The ferry pulls away behind me, and I wave at the girls, who are taking photos and cheering me on from the deck. For the first few hundred meters, everything's great. I'm making good progress, the water's not too rough, and I'm imagining Emma being impressed by my spontaneous athleticism and devil-may-care attitude. Then I hit the current. Somewhere around the halfway point, I realize I'm not moving toward Russell anymore. I'm swimming hard, but the shoreline isn't getting any closer. In fact, it seems to be sliding sideways. The current is pulling me steadily toward the mouth of the bay, where the inlet opens up to the Tasman Sea. This is when panic sets in. I'm maybe 500 meters from either shore, completely alone in water that's now feeling significantly less friendly. My arms are getting tired, my legs are starting to cramp, and I'm beginning to understand why they charge $2 for the ferry instead of just letting people swim across. I can see the ferry in the distance already docking at Russell. The girls are probably wondering where I am, and I'm out here fighting for my life against a current that's trying to sweep me out to open ocean. I start swimming at an angle, trying to use the current instead of fighting it directly. Every stroke feels like work, and I'm swallowing salt water every time a wave catches me wrong. My confident front crawl deteriorates into a desperate survival stroke that's probably 50% panic and 50% stubbornness. Somehow, and I genuinely don't know how, I eventually make it to shore. Not at the Russell Wharf where I was supposed to arrive triumphantly, but about 100 meters down the beach, crawling up onto the rocky shoreline like some kind of drowned sea creature. I lie there for maybe 2 minutes, catching my breath and questioning every life choice that led to this moment. My arms feel like jelly. I've got salt water coming out of my nose, and I'm pretty sure I swallowed enough seawater to affect my electrolyte balance. But then I see the girls walking down from the wharf, looking around for me, and somehow I summon the energy to stand up and casually stroll over like I've just completed a pleasant afternoon swim. Hey guys, I say, trying not to sound like I'm still breathing hard. How was the ferry ride? Emma looks at me with what might be admiration or might be concern for my mental health. Holy shit, you actually did it. Are you okay? Yeah, totally fine, I lie. Nice little swim. The party was everything it was supposed to be. Bonfire, local band, backpackers from 6 different countries, and Emma and I ended up talking by the water until like 3 a.m. We made out under the stars while waves lapped at our feet, and she kept saying how crazy it was that I'd swum across the bay. That was so spontaneous, she said. I can't believe you just did that. Neither could I, honestly, but it worked. The only problem came at the end of the night when everyone was getting ready to head back. The last ferry was loading passengers, and I realized I still had to pay the $2 for the return trip. Wait, Kate said. Didn't you swim over here to avoid paying? Yeah, but I can't swim back, I said. I'm exhausted, and the current's probably even stronger at night. So I ended up paying for the ferry anyway, which meant my grand gesture of swimming across the inlet to save $2 actually cost me $2, plus I nearly drowned. Emma thought the whole thing was hilarious. So you almost died to save money, then spent the money anyway? Pretty much, yeah. She laughed and kissed me again. You're an idiot, but you're my kind of idiot. We hung out for the rest of my time in the Bay of Islands, and she's still one of my favorite travel memories, though I've never tried to swim across a bay to impress anyone ever again. Some lessons you only need to learn once.